I hate when black people say that black people can't be racist. Yes, the fuck they can. And every time you have this discussion with black people, which is one of the discussions that black people aren't ready to have, they always try to justify what racism actually means. Well, black people can be racist because they don't. Black people can't be racist because they don't benefit from a system of. Shut the fuck! Shut the fuck! Shut the fuck! Black people can be racist, but they prejudice. Google racism. The first word that pop up is prejudice. I don't care how you cut it, chop it, dissect. Black people can be fucking racist. Have y'all ever been on Twitter? Someone can literally tweet, "I hate seeing white people in the hood." You feel nothing, right? Let someone white tweet, "I hate seeing black people in Beverly Hills." You niggas will lose your fucking minds! You can call me a coon till I die, but I'm gonna drop these facts, boy.
I had to get my Malcolm X glasses for this one. What's good, black people? I don't even want no music playing. None of that. I don't even want no music playing for this right here. This is just crazy. Now, I made this a very short video because I ain't gonna waste nobody's time discussing this because I've discussed this many times. I have many videos on this particular topic at hand. And one thing that I always make known is that when these particular topics come up, a lot of these particular black people who aren't there mentally will use the same argument that a white person would use concerning this very topic at hand. All right. So you have Mr. LongBeach Griffy, great comedian. I watch him at least 3 times a week. You know, sound like a drug, but I watch him a good amount of times and stuff like that on YouTube. I don't follow him on Instagram or nothing like that, but I watch him on YouTube whenever he pops up on my suggestions. So I saw his video. Somebody sent me his video just now, this morning, and he made a post talking about black people can be racist, and he was pointing fingers and mocking the people who say that black people can't be racist, but we can be prejudiced, right? And see, I bring a deeper argument to the table when it comes to these particular topics, and I bring facts and information, right? The only information and facts that he brought up were 2 things. One, he brought up Google, and then 2, he brought up if a white person said that he don't want to see black people in Beverly Hills, niggas will go crazy. But when a black person says they don't want to see white people in the hood, you know, when white people go crazy, they think they overreact and this, that, and the third, right? And I saw people in the comment section. I saw some of my favorite comedians in the comment section. Hard Stop Lucas, one influential. I was like, oh, wow. You know what's even crazy? And I don't want to be petty, but you know what's even crazy? One influential a couple of years ago was crying on his story about how his son saw white people subconsciously superior to himself, right? And you know, he over here talking to his son, don't let anybody ever tell you that you lesser than, man, you dress as equal. All right. Okay, pimpin'.
Oh my goodness.
It's just, I don't understand. You can't teach your son, or even for us as black people in general, you can't teach your son that he's just as equal as everybody else, and he's living in a society that's literally telling him subconsciously that he is inferior. You know, you can't uninform your son on what the situations are going on in this society. You can't keep him away from what's going on in the society, and all of a sudden you over here, you know, you complaining and you crying on your story about why your son feels this way. Man, I'm a good father, I don't know what happened and this, that, and the third. It's because you're not informing him. Same thing happened to me. When I was 8, I was putting like, all my superstars would be white. And I would have like 2 black people in there. It would be me and this other person. And the thing with me, I would be the dancing person. I'd be the clown, right? Wouldn't give myself a title. I never gave myself a title on the wrestling game. This was back when I was 8 or 9, when SmackDown vs. Raw games would come out. And I remember my uncle was looking, he was kind of like disappointed at my roster and what I would, formulate. And he was just like, just make sure you have some black people on there, right? Didn't think of it then. And now it's just as important, very important to me now when it comes to supporting your own people. But getting back to the topic at hand, when you are dealing with these particular topics on whether or not a black person can be racist, let's first deal with the issue and break down the word racism, right? Because you have a prefix and a suffix. And when you look at the suffix of ism, you're dealing with a structure. You're dealing with a construct. You're dealing with a system, all right? When you're dealing with a racist, that means somebody has the ability, somebody has the authority, or somebody has the skills to adversely impact the life of another race of people. And this is what we're talking about in the negative, right? The negative perception of the particular word. Now, there's no positive, negative word precept, but when I mean positive, because some people will say that a person who is racist is somebody who's for his people. And I can understand that concept. However, I'm not subscribing to that particular concept in this video, nor in real life, because I know what people mean when they say you're racist, all right? So when dealing with the word racist, that means you have the ability, you have the authority, the privilege to adversely impact the life of another person. When you're dealing with the word racist, let's first come to the confinements of who created this word, how did this word come about, how did the concept behind this word come about, and who was the first people to be qualified to be a racist. When were black people qualified to be a racist? Let's first come to that understanding. When we look all the way back from, we'll do this stereotypically, 1619, when the first slaves came to the shores of America, right? North America, that is. And so when you have these African people who were slaves to the slave master, I want to know, was Nat Turner racist? Was Dessalines racist? When he said that keep no white person alive, were these particular black men racist? Was Malcolm X a racist? Was Marcus Garvey a racist? These people were discriminated against, and they were, shamed in society, in this white society, for being about their people, and they were called racist. They were saying that they were spreading hate, towards another race of people. And Malcolm X made it very plain and clear. It's very hypocritical for a race of people to point fingers at another race of people and claim them of hating another race of people while blood is dripping from their hands. They're not in the position to tell other people that they hate another people. They're not in the position to tell another people that they're mistreating another race of people, when every other race, every other ethnicity or nation of people that they have ran into that had color, discriminated. They were discriminated against and colonized and murdered and slaughtered, right? And I'm not capping for this people of color concept. Don't get that understanding either. I'm about black people, black people only. That's why you see Malcolm X in the background. He proud of me. But wait, that was corny. But you get my point, right? When it concerns the concept of racism, we have to understand who are the people that qualify to be racist, right? You have to understand, where does this particular concept come from? We have to understand a bigger concept than just Google what it means to be a racist. Because you go to Google, it means somebody who believes they're better than another race, right? That's the stereotypical, the stereotypical definition. See, look what Google say. Google say somebody who's racist, somebody who think they're better than somebody. So that means you racist, right? Don't know how that qualifies black people, because that means there will be levels to racism. And there can't be levels to racism. If a white person goes on Twitter and says he hates black people, if he didn't have the privilege or the power to enforce how he thought, then that would just be prejudice. despite how you want to feel, he calls you a nigger, this, that, and the third. If he doesn't have the power to enforce that, if he doesn't even have the privilege to enforce how he feels, then that right there is what you call being prejudiced, white or black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever the case may be, right? Same thing with black people. If a black person says that he hates white people, this, that, and the third about white people, crack of this, crack of that, because black people do not have the particular power, the privilege, or the authority to adversely impact or enforce how they feel upon another race of people, they don't have a structure to back them up upon how they feel. So therefore it is what we would consider to be prejudice, right? Discriminatory, this, that, and the third. But racism deals with power, okay? When we're dealing with racism, when we're dealing with Dylan Roof, who went up and shot 9 black people, if I'm not mistaken. It was 9 black people. When we're dealing with these terrorists, that inflict pain and murder upon black people. When we're dealing with police officers who kill innocent black men in the street. When we're dealing with the whole history of lynching mobs, black men are still being lynched to this day. When we're dealing with people that were murdered, by another race of people, and still to this day oppressed in their hoods and the projects by another race of people. You have to understand, why would you and how does a person have the nerves to inflict the concept of a black person being racist? It's very hypocritical and it's very ironic that a white person will point the fingers at another race of people that they oppressed, that they brainwashed, that they took their culture and their name and their language and their heritage from, and say, you're racist. Black people are mentally sick in the head due to slavery. Black people are mentally sick in the head because of this westernized society. They were taken from their homes. Black people, babies, were used as gator bait. Most of us and a lot of us are traumatized, still traumatized to this day, and we conduct ourselves as our ancestors did during slavery, and you would have to have a lot of nerves as another race of people to point the fingers at a black person and be like, you're racist. Because they feel a type of way being around white people. They feel a type of way upon associating with white people, dating white people, and this, that, and the third. But can you blame them, though? Can you blame them? These particular white people took their land, took their heritage, took their name, lynched their mothers and fathers, raped their daughters and sons, castrated their babies, amputated the arms of little girls and little boys. Can you really blame these particular people? Because this is trauma that is passed down from generation to generation. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. Research Joy DeGruy. This is something that's being passed down from generation to generation, and we're not receiving the proper healing for this. And so it would be very hypocritical for a black person to say, you're racist. For a black person to even have the mindset to tell another black person that they are racist against another race of people. I've been called racist because I wear, if she not black, she not all that. Because I love my black women, and I don't seek interest in any other race of women, and they do not meet my standards or needs, nor do they overseed or exceed the black woman. And they will call me racist for that, because me as a black man, I love my black women and I express it thoroughly. But I would be called racist for loving my women. A white person wouldn't be called racist for loving their own women. A Mexican man wouldn't be called racist for loving his own women. Nor would the Asian, nor would the Arabian, nor would the East Indian. But when it comes to a black man, because a black man and a functional black family is a threat to this society, they do everything that they can to demonize the perception of the black family. They do everything that they can to demonize the perception of a functional black man and a functional black woman and a functional black child. That's why when a black man says, I don't agree with homosexuality, I only agree with the black family, he's homophobic. His masculinity is fragile. He's not comfortable in his sexuality. The black man is targeted that way because they know the power of black unity. If you look up J. Edgar Hoover And if you research the number one threat that he says that's to this society, he said Negro unity. He said that's the number one threat to this society is Negro unity. That should ring something in your head. But until next time, I'm Tyrone. Hopefully you got something out of this video. This was just my pure reaction to this particular video from LongBeach Griffy. Not capping for him this time. Or at all. I'm not capping for him on this. Because it's just the ignorance. It shows you the ignorance of our people and how we think concerning these very issues at hand. Because a black person cannot be racist. Doesn't qualify to be a racist. And if anybody wants to dispute, put it in the comment section below. Tell me how you think. If you like what I said, if you didn't like what I said, let me know in the comment section below. Might make a reaction to what people might have to say in the comments if this gets any form of attention. Okay, but until next time, I'm Tyrone, and I'm out.
People would ever equal what they've done to us. I really don't. White people are born guilty, and there is no redeemer.
Oh, I absolutely said that.
What do you mean by born guilty?
What I mean is this, that in America, white children are raised to be white supremacists, meaning to believe that they're superior. And as they're raised, they're integrated into a system of power that protects their alleged superiority. We as African people have never enslaved and captured European people, taken them from their land, raped their women, changed their culture, suppressed their ability to be educated, and do all of the wicked things that white America has done to African people. Therefore, there is no such thing in my mind as reverse racism, because reverse racism would imply that we had in some way even the scales, and certainly as African people, we have not done that.
Do you know any white Americans who resisted that education and went the other way?
Resisted what education?
The education to grow up superior.
It depends on what you say as went the other way.
Fought for equal rights, got involved in the civil rights movement, put their life on the lines as young men did in Mississippi and Alabama in the civil rights movement. You don't think whites did that?
I think that there are white people who have made ostensible moves towards addressing the system, but I think when we get down to the fundamental issues of power, meaning not the question of whether blacks and whites can go to restaurants together, or whether Africans and Europeans can marry one another, not the ostensible questions, but when it comes down to the question of power, white people, European people in this country have not served us well.
And whatever you miss about the way they go about doing things, that's what's going to eventually trip you up. They already know that. I mean, the system of white supremacy is very, very, very finely tuned, like a smooth-running automobile engine. It's very fine-tuned, and they're always checking to see that that engine is running smoothly. If they hear any rattles or anything, I mean, they go and check on it immediately, because it's not supposed to happen. I mean, they want a smooth operation. And the refinement stage of white supremacy means they do it so smoothly that the average black person, the average non-white person will say, well, white supremacy, that doesn't exist. Oh, what's that fool talking about? What are these stupid people talking about some white supremacy? I do what I want to do. I go where I want to go. Nobody tell me what to do. You know, so then the white supremacist will look at that black person and say, that's exactly the way we want all of them to think, that we don't even exist. That everything, you know, that they're running everything, that black people run the world. That's the way we want them to think. That is the ultimate. They can tell you what to do and you can't tell them. That makes them supreme. That's what white supremacy means. They can tell you what to do, but you can't tell them. You can't make them do nothing. And they'll challenge you if they, you know, of course we usually don't challenge them. We'll stand there when we're mad and say we demand, but that's not really what we mean. We really mean we're asking in a loud voice, because we can't demand nothing. Because see, you know, when it comes right down to it, when they back up and say, okay, you say you're demanding, you're going to make me do what you want me to do? All right, do it. Say, come on now. Say, now you do this among your own people, you get away with it, but you're dealing with a master now. Make me. All this stuff you're talking about that you've got to have, make me. You're intelligent. You said that you are. You said your people are this and that, and you come from a long line of this. Make me. None of us have proven that we can meet that yet. None of us. In all these years, some of us can talk pretty loud, you know, and we can do a job on each other like you wouldn't believe. But when Master Man says, make me, we melt. And the evidence shows it. Now, but that's supposed to make us feel real bad and crawl under a rock and all like that? No, that's what makes us crawl. Why? According to logic. To admit that you're a prisoner of war is strength, if that's what you are. That's the first step toward not being a prisoner. Realize that you are one. But see, black males in particular, we like to flex our muscles. Boy, do we ever like to act like we are really men. And we will slaughter each other on 8th Street out there any day in the week to prove it. We ain't nowhere close. Because when the real man comes around, we melt.
Black woman had our back. She always put us on the map. She nurtured us from a babe. So first she just look at that. Black woman had our back. She always put us on the map. She nurtured us from a babe. So first she just look at that.